welcome back to the Brick by Brick podcast. We've been away for a little while. We had a little bit of a hiatus between our Christmas Spectacular and now, but today we've got a very special episode for you. We actually have our first ever guest stars. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
My name's Noah. I'm a senior. I go to Calvary.
Yes, we decided to bring in Calvary students to talk to you guys today.
Jacob's favorite students in the youth group. We kind of did like a little contest and we won it. So yeah,
you're lying live on the air.
We actually held a poll. No, I can't show you the results, but trust me, I reviewed them myself. It was me and Jackson.
We were the only people in the running. No one else wanted to be on it. So, yeah, Jackson, you want to say anything?
Yeah, I'm Jackson. Thank y'all for having me on today. It's about to be amazing.
Big deal.
You're
so
welcome.
excited.
There's just there's
so
an electricity
excited.
in the room. There's just big energy in the room. It's wonderful to see.
It's because we finally got the wall art up.
It is.
Except it's not really. It's just
the lighting's
frames.
perfect.
Yeah.
Honestly, we should have done is just not done a picture and just like the wall over there, just made it green.
Yeah.
And make it whatever we want it to be. Whenever, like, just have it basically be like a random screen that could be anything, whatever meme we want to throw up.
It's a good idea. We'll have to tell Pete.
Yeah, we'll let him know. So this was a very impromptu episode. Yeah. I didn't know we were doing this till yesterday.
Yeah, me either.
Actually, so what was the story behind this coming
together?
You
know, this week at Calvary is the interim week. Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
interim week officially.
Service week too.
And Jackson and Noah just love me so much.
Yeah, we do.
That they just wanted to work with me for 2 days and just see what the life is like of, being Calvary's youth pastor, I guess. It had nothing to do with them just wanting to get out of class, by the way. That was not at all.
We didn't have class this week.
Yeah, we didn't have class this week.
Well, whatever you guys are doing for interim.
Yeah.
It was either doing an escape room or doing this. So we chose this.
Wow, good choice.
Or a trolley tour.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Or a food tour, which actually sounds pretty good. But
well,
I didn't get picked for that.
So here we are. I just thought it'd be fun, like you said, it had been a couple weeks or more since we did an episode.
Yeah.
So.
And we did say we wanted to make this new season very experimental.
Oh, yeah,
so
season
we're just
3.
trying new things.
Yeah, we are.
Trying new things. So, Jackson and Noah, how about each of you tell me one thing you did or enjoyed interning for Pastor Mock? How long did you guys do? Was it yesterday or the whole week?
Yesterday.
Just yesterday. So what were you guys up to yesterday?
So yesterday, Jacob was walking us through how he wrote his sermons, how he the process he took in preparing for his sermons, and then Noah actually spoke at FCA this morning, so we took his passage and then he walked us through the steps and we did it with him. So yeah,
very cool.
It was really interesting. Kind of, he gave us kind of like a little sheet that kind of broke down the different parts of the sermon making process, and it was really interesting to see how much you can actually get out of the text from all the little words and the little translations that kind of mean different things, and kind of all adding it up to the meaning of your sermon.
Yeah.
So where'd you get that from?
I did internship a while ago, and that's where they taught me.
That internship?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Okay.
And they taught me how to preach there. So, yeah.
I'm sorry, that was me.
Rick Warren? Rick Warren? What?
Yeah.
No.
So you're telling me that the strategy or the process of making your sermon isn't fixating on a word that week and then providing that prophetic word on Sunday?
Unfortunately,
so like you didn't just think of a word like
anchor.
Anchor. Yeah, I was trying to think of my own, but yeah.
No, please do.
Or,
think of your own.
Not webinar. That wouldn't work.
Royce. He just looked at the sign.
Wood.
Yeah.
So we must be hard like wood. We have to be rigid. We have to be as Christians. We have to be resilient, right? But, wood comes from something that's living. So we have to be alive as well. So
Amen.
there's that dynamic.
Wow.
Amen.
Wow. We should have told Jackson and Noah to start clapping.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. We should have like an applause sign in here. That'd be pretty great.
There is a button, but I can't remember which one it is. So
But yeah,
so we
I
go through them until we find it.
think that's pretty sick that like that's what y'all did. I was assuming, I'm not gonna lie, I was assuming just get like a dumb story about like what y'all did. And like, well, we kind of just hung out his office.
Well-
That's what we did today.
yeah. Share what you guys did today.
So we cleaned out a closet that he had in the youth room for like 10 minutes. And then we played ping pong for a little bit. I beat Jackson, of course, like 4 times. And he quit and threw his paddle. And then Officer Ramsey came and yelled at him.
No way, really?
He did. What y'all supposed to be doing up here? And then he made me call Jacob and make sure that
So
we were
Verify.
Jackson, I get a phone call from Jackson. I'm like, oh, it's Jackson. I
so
assumed
excited.
that he had a question of like how to clean a closet. I don't know. And I was like, hello, and I hear Jacob. It's Officer Ramsey, and I was like, wait, what a second. And he was like, I'm just trying to make sure that these guys are doing the right thing. And I thought for a second about being like, no, what are you talking about? Who are these guys?
You'd have like took us off the campus,
Yeah.
dude.
That's
Yeah,
great.
Yeah.
So
So
gotta have a little bit of
it's
fun.
been good. It's been
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like the. It's cool they actually got to apply what you taught them like
Right?
immediately the next day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And
That's
and
pretty dope.
Jackson's teaching
Bible
next
Bible
study.
study
next Friday.
very nice, very nice.
Cool.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. So, Jacob, what was the main plan?
Yeah,
this
yeah. So definitely today's going to be just more conversational. We don't have any notes or any slides or anything. We have no funny videos of the Grinch to show you guys today. In fact, we're not videotaping this one today.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But
Missing out.
so what I thought would be fun is to pose a question to these guys. The question being, what advice would you give to freshman Noah and freshman Jackson now that you are seniors, that you're about to graduate and go off to college, knowing what you know now? What advice would you give to yourself 4 years ago? So I think that we're gonna have some pretty good conversation here. And I don't know if we want to just get straight into it. Who
I'm
wants
down.
who wants to go first?
You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go. Yeah.
Go first.
I think really I kind of started off my freshman year in a different school, and it was really a completely different environment than Calvary in the sense of different people, and most of the community was it was a smaller community, and most of the community was in church, and it wasn't as I would say unchristian as sometimes Calvary can feel. And I was kind of looking at the question from a sophomore self or my first kind of year at Calvary, and I would say kind of when my advice would. When you first get to a place like Calvary and you see how big it is and you see like how all the different friend groups and everything, and you're starting off right and you're in football season and there's a group of people in your grade that everyone or all the new kids that are playing football are kind of pressing to be a part of and to be in that group to kind of stay away from that, because in the season it may look fun, it may look popular to do these things, but really and it just hurts you. It hurts your reputation. Because at the time, right, I was having my mom was teaching Bible class and she was teaching all these students and stuff, and she would be teaching about like a topic like purity or something, and she would have kids come up to her like, how can you be saying this, right? Your son's doing all this bad stuff. And I really think from starting out with certain people to just stay away and finding a godly friend group, and that I think it definitely still applies to me and Jackson as we're about to go off to college, and we're obviously going in 2 different environments, but finding finally godly Christian friends early and hang out with them often, because that really influences your whole way of thinking, right? It's really hard to live a godly life when you're hanging out with people that aren't influencing you as such. So definitely your friend group and how it influences you.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, I like that you make the point of realizing that early on, because I think a lot of the middle schoolers, like 8th graders going into high school, they have this mentality that, they want to be adults, but they're still young. But they have like this kind of mentality where they've got a foot in each one. Yeah. It's like I walk around acting like I'm an adult, but I'm a kid. Nothing I'm doing really matters. And to realize that and to have that foresight early on, going into high school, knowing this matters. I'm going to have a reputation. It's going to precede me. I've got to think about the things I do, which is why I try to kind of instill that in my 8th graders now and be like, guys, listen, like you have to think about what you're doing. You can't just be on autopilot anymore because half of y'all, you look like adults. Okay. So you have to realize like you can't think of yourselves as kids anymore. Right. You have to think about what you're doing. You have to be disciplined. Because if you're not disciplined now, when we have training wheels on in the middle school. You can't use your phones at all. We're really hard on what you're saying to each other. You like putting your hands on each other. It's only going to get looser when you get into high school. You're going to be given more freedom. So if you're undisciplined now in middle school, you're going to be wilding out.
Yeah.
In high school.
Yeah, that's a good point. So Noah, practically speaking, whenever you realized that you needed to surround yourself with better people, what did you do? How did that process, go for you?
Yeah, so I was actually really blessed, and this is kind of, I think this moment right here was kind of the pivotal moment of I think my life kind of changing for the better. And I was sitting in math class, and I was sitting with 2 people who I'm really close to. And they invited me to their lunch table because they saw the people that I was hanging out with were not the best. And it was a simple invitation over to their lunch table, right? And I'm at the same lunch table ever since. And I think, especially as Christians, right, if we see someone that is new and they're kind of easily moldable because they're nervous where they are, they want to fit in, right? We all kind of have those desires coming in places that are new. Invite them over to your lunch table. Invite them into your circle. So, and also, another thing is, as I know a lot of middle schoolers are probably listening to this, when you go into high school and you see an upperclassman or an older kid doing something and you're kind of perceiving, well, that probably isn't right. Probably 9 times out of 10, you're probably right and you shouldn't be doing it, right? I still remember my freshman year and looking back at some of the seniors at my old school who were leaders of either the football team or basketball team or teams that I was a part of, and just looking back and thinking, man, why in the world did I ever follow them? They had no idea what they were doing. None of that was leading to me any good. It was just vain and just all it was seeking for pleasure, and nothing good was coming out of it. So you can 100% be a leader as a freshman, right? I know, right? There's a lot of things that go along with that. Like, I don't know, like your heel. I mean, on the lacrosse team, right? That maturity matters, or your rank, like freshman, senior, like sorority matters. What's the word? Sorority.
Seniority.
I can't speak.
Not sorority. That's
yet.
for sure. At least I certainly
yet.
hope that's not going on a men's lacrosse team.
Yeah.
So
Maybe. You never know, but seniority matters. But I think one of the most encouraging things, or really if to see another Christian or if you're struggling with something, right, that to just go the other way, and so many people will follow you. I mean, we have freshmen, I feel like right now on the lacrosse team, that do that so well and are such good lights for their fellow classmen.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult to go against the grain, especially when you're young, and even when you're, because we have these weird little hierarchies at schools where, in middle school, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, it's like, 6th grade, you're bottom of the totem pole. 7th grade, you've climbed a little bit. 8th grade, you're the big people on campus, right? But then that inverts immediately when you get into high school. So you're once again in that situation where you don't want to speak out against the upperclassmen or say they're doing something wrong. You don't want to be the person who's doing that. But that's if you have the courage to do that, more power to you, dude. And especially when you have scripture, when you have what's right and wrong on your side, it's all the more reason to.
Yeah, that's good. Well, Jackson, let's go over to Jackson and see what he has to say.
All right.
What would you tell freshman Jackson?
So I kind of have 2 things that I was going to say. They kind of go together. But the first thing that I would definitely tell my freshman self is to just get out of my comfort zone. Because back in middle school, back in my freshman year, I feel like I was definitely I knew where I was at. I knew and I was content where I was at, whether that be in my faith, with my friends, sports-wise. And God just really pushed me to get out of my comfort zone, and I just didn't really want to do it.
Yeah. So when you say your comfort zone, You mean just
my
like
kind of clique and
like specific friends and
Yes,
people? Okay.
yeah. And I didn't want to go outside those friends. I didn't really feel the need to share the gospel with people around me to like kind of shine the light of Christ into people around me. So I kind of just kept to myself. I was definitely really introverted, which I still say I'm a little bit am, but I definitely have broken out of that shell a bit.
Yeah.
And then going along with that second one, the second point, which kind of goes parallels that, but it's to just give God like the plan over your life and don't try to control your own plan, because 9 times out of 10 that plan isn't going to be what actually happens.
Yeah.
And I could think of probably 5 or 6 examples from freshman, sophomore year where I thought I was going to be somewhere, but now I'm in a completely different spot. So, yeah.
That's really good. So, talking about planning.
Wow, that's good.
Planning, right.
Wow.
Who said that?
That's Sadie Robinson, right?
Sadie, is that you? First
on,
Warren,
hold on, hold
Warren,
on.
now Sadie.
Oh, man.
Hold on.
Beth
you guys go
Moore.
Royce is doing something.
ahead. Because her name, the main name of her podcast is that.
So good.
That's so
podcast.
good.
That's hold on.
So good.
Whoa, that's so good.
Wow.
Whoa, that's
No,
so
sorry.
good.
Wow, that's good.
Wow, that's good.
That's what it actually
No,
is.
whoa, that's good.
Whoa, that's good.
W-H.
You guys should get a collab with Sadie. That would be hilarious.
I'd rather
Royce
not.
would just
Whoa.
like lose his mind on her.
All right. Well,
Hold on. So wait a minute. Stop for a second. Your family made duck calls.
that's why you're famous?
That's how you were. No, that's why you've been ordained, or why you people listening.
oh my.
I'm sorry.
I don't know how this just happened.
That's my
Goodness
bad.
gracious.
My bad. My bad.
We just had lots of shots fired here.
And yeah, they
Daggers.
all came from my direction. That's
Wow.
all.
Are you
Royce
good?
King. That was Royce King.
It's been a full day. Of
Listen,
school,
everybody
right?
just extend your hand and pray for Royce for a second. Well, I'm going to get back to Jackson.
Sorry, yeah, let's
because
get back
what
to
Jackson said was really good. So, Jackson.
Looks
So
uncomfortable.
let's talk about what you said about your comfort zone first, right? And about your friends and things like that. Now, I think a lot of people can relate to that because, you have your friends that you've made, right? Unless you're brand new to a place, you've had the same friends for a while. Why do you think it's such a hard thing to branch out? Or for you personally, why was it difficult for you to branch out and start to talk to different people or especially share the gospel with other people?
I think it was just really being scared, to be honest, about and almost a feeling of just wanting things to be the same that they have been, like not wanting the change, I guess. So I feel like it's something that we all feel, but for me personally, I don't know. It's just you don't want to. We get into habits, we get into routines, and we just don't want to break those routines. So I feel that that's kind of where I was.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, and it took a lot of courage, because I was just content with my youth group friends, friends I was close with sports, and I didn't really branch out. And I feel like those relationships with them being the same that they weren't really super deep relationships with other people that I had.
Okay, gotcha. So Noah, hearing what Jackson said, do you feel like that's been something? I mean, you're newer to Calvary. Do you feel like that was kind of a thing for you as far as having to get out of a comfort zone?
I think that's one of the things that I feel like I've been really lucky. I feel like so my dad's in the Navy, and he's a Navy chaplain. We've moved down a little bit. We moved from Virginia when I was in 10th. I forgot. When I was in 10th grade, we changed schools about twice down there. I was homeschooled for a little bit. And I think that's kind of one of the things that, even though that we were really upset that we had to change schools and everything, I feel like that's something that I've really grown in, is that I feel like I'm able to talk to a good amount of people, and I'm able to adapt pretty well. And I hopefully that'll help me my whole life. But that's one of the things that, even though at the beginning I think we were all kind of skeptical about it, that we've been in the same place for 12 years. We've known all the same people in like our homeschool group. We've known the same people in our little church. And we moved, and I think that's one of the blessings that's come out of it, that I think everyone in my family has been able to kind of adapt to different scenarios.
Yeah. Okay.
That's also something I just was thinking about. So when I was in middle school, going into high school, I used to be one of the people that everyone shadowed. And I used to hate doing that.
Why?
Just because I just felt so uncomfortable around the like new people. Like
Just
I was
a new person.
Yeah. That's just kind of like I was saying about comfort zone. And actually, Noah was one of those people.
He
that
was actually
shadowed me.
the first person, right? So we were shadowing Savannah Christian and Christian. He was my last shadow. And after I left, I was like, Mom, I do not want to go there. That kid is so freaking weird.
Oh my
gosh. And he literally
The deep lore.
And 2 years later, he became my best friend. So it worked out.
I feel like that's just something I've had to deal with and I've gotten a lot better with.
Yeah.
I wish I had just done it sooner.
Yeah. Man. Royce, you want to jump in at all?
I don't have any questions to ask. I mean, I think it's pretty good advice to give to younger guys.
Yeah.
I don't think I had too much of an issue like getting out of my comfort zone just because I had my lanes pretty established when I got into high school. I was like, I played football and I did like theater stuff when I could, and those are just my 2 lanes.
Yeah.
And I kind of I was like a person who was kind of just like water. I could talk to most of our groups in my high school or in my grade, and it didn't feel too awkward. Like it wasn't like I was too identified with one clique that I couldn't kind of step over and talk to other people. So,
isn't it true, Royce, that you really wanted to like get into doing a musical or something, but a certain individual didn't
so I signed up for Calvary Singers like every.
It wasn't a girl. My bad. I thought it was a girl.
This guy. No. So
sorry,
I
my
wanted
bad.
to do Calvary Singers like every year of high school, but if you were a football player, your elective was switched from Calvary Singers to weight training.
Yeah.
Which I'd have rather just weight trained after school.
Yeah.
But so I didn't get to do it like all the way up to junior year. Then senior year, I said, do not take me out of Calvary Singers. I want to do Calvary Singers because, my grandparents are very musical people and I enjoyed, acting, stuff like that. So, yeah, finally got to do it one time, which was
Your
frustrating.
senior year?
My senior year. Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh,
That's a good one.
that was actually really.
I
I
saw that
remember
in
that.
old
That was
school.
good.
Yeah, I
That's
had
good.
I had to do. I got a crappy side character. I was the innkeeper. I had like 3 lines, but then they made me do.
Killed those 3 lines.
Did
though.
you?
I killed those 3 lines,
bet you did.
but I had there's a solo that was given to like a very very offshoot side character, like a Russian character who just like shows up in one scene. And they didn't have anyone to do it. So they're like, Royce, you're going to do this solo. I'm like, okay, sure. So I practiced it really, really hard and a lot. And apparently it turned out really well. So
Nice.
I was like, you know what? This is my only shot I can fire.
Can you give us a little remix of it?
No, I can't remember old Russian. I'm
The
sorry.
last play that I was in 5th grade, and I had like a solo, and like it was like the middle school play, and I had like a solo, and I was like one of the main characters. So I had a really bad cough like in the play. So the whole time I had like a mic attached to my face. So the whole time I was coughing, but I was trying to keep it in. So I was going. I was like jerking my head back, so it looked like I was about to throw up. My parents literally got up from the front row, went to the back because they were so embarrassed that if I was about to throw up. They were even not seeing me.
I can imagine your dad doing that.
And then I had to stand up and sing, and I voice cracked 6 times. I still remember. This was the lines. I had a top hat, really tall top. I was like, Goliath thought he had it all.
No.
Hang
Oh
on.
no.
I'm gonna call Joe real quick. Let's see if we can get this video.
Yeah.
Next
Yeah, you
next
actually-
podcast you guys are gonna
I
watch.
still have it.
Oh, you shouldn't have told me that.
Ooh.
You should not have told me
That
that.
is rough.
Man.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So Jackson, I think that's good. Comfort zones are definitely it's one of those phrases that we throw around so often. It's like, oh, it's not really in my comfort zone, and it's like we can feel so accustomed to just like hanging out where we are. But I really love how you came back and you said, well, especially when it comes to sharing the gospel, you have to get out of your comfort zone in order to do that, So let's talk about what the next thing you said, Jackson, talking about your plans and, just being able to surrender to the Lord and say, God, what you want for me is what I want for me, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times those things don't match up. Sometimes they do. Freshman Jackson. What did Freshman Jackson want that the Lord ended up, changing your life? You know what I mean? Like what was going on?
All right. So first of all, I tried out for the basketball team freshman year.
Noah, why are you laughing?
Dang.
This is funny.
Dang.
And I think I absolutely sucked. But I thought I was going to make the team. And I got called back to the coach's office. I didn't make the team. And I thought it was the end of the world at the time.
Yeah.
But then fast forward, the next year, some convincing from my parents. They convinced me, instead of playing basketball, to run cross country instead. And then now you look where I've gone with that. And
Yeah.
I wish I had made that decision sooner. But
Yeah.
I feel like it was kind of God just showing me that's not the path that He wanted me on.
Okay.
And then also with the friends that I have, which I'm still pretty close with some of the people I hung out with in middle school. But most of the friends that I have now, I made sophomore year and junior year.
Mm-hmm.
Like the lunch table that I sit at, every single one of them, I wasn't friends with in middle school or my freshman year.
Yeah.
Every single one of them I just got to know really well, probably my sophomore or my junior year going into now. So I feel like that's also, and it's a good group of godly men. So I'm glad that God put me on that path to go
That's great.
be friends with them. And of course, Noah over here. Got to know
Why are
him
you
pretty
giggling
well.
like that?
Yeah,
That's-
for better or for
looking
worse
at me like that,
sometimes
like a
it seems.
weirdo.
So Noah, can
That was-
can you relate to that at all, as far as just surrendering to what the Lord wants to do?
Yeah, I mean, I really relate to the. I'm kind of thinking how I want to word this. Yeah, but I mean, right, my sophomore year, I came in, never really thought of anything other than football, of playing it, and I mean, Calvary's definitely a different beast in the football world, right? We have Division I athletes all over the field coming in from all over the place. And I never really thought of playing any other sport ever. And my mom actually got one of the football coaches to convince me to start lacrosse. And I think that really was one of the biggest decisions for me, not only just for athletics sake, but also for growing me as a Christian. Because I feel like in that kind of scenario, it was really easy, or it was a lot easier for me to lead. It was a lot easier to share start Bible study and stuff with the lacrosse players, and really a lot easier to lead, because these guys, a lot of them were a lot younger than me, right? I wasn't used to that. On the football team, everyone was older than me. It was really a lot easier to kind of relate the stuff that I hear in youth group, the stuff that I hear in church, back to the younger kids on the team. And I feel like that's kind of led with me all the way up through my lacrosse career. So
Yeah, that's good. Speaking of youth group, I remember the first Wednesday night
hated it.
I did
Noah
too.
came to Calvary Student Ministry.
Just
And,
walked in, everyone was like, "Oh."
I remember
No, we didn't.
trying to start conversation with him, and this guy had zero interest in talking to me, like none whatsoever, like not at all. I was like, "Dang, okay, whatever, man."
I remember you dragging him to Bible study every Friday.
I didn't even do that. I just said, "Hey."
awkwardly talking to him, like dribbling like a basketball, and then when all y'all would go to get lunch, I still remember that.
I do remember that.
I
We were
just
talking
said,
about like our
"Hey."
bench maxes.
I mean, your dad probably made you go or something, right? I just said,
Wow,
"Hey,
wow, he
we
has no faith in me.
we had." Well, I remember how you were then. I remember.
Yeah.
That. And I just remember being like, "Hey, we have Bible study on Friday," and you'd be like, "Oh yeah, okay." And then it took you like a month to show up.
Yeah, I never came. That was I still remember that.
yeah.
We were so mad. I remember it was after football practice. We were really hot. And my dad was. I don't think he was there. I think he was. Like,
He was still gone.
He was still gone. My mom was like, "We're going to Calvary." It's like, "No, that's off. We don't want to go there." And I still remember the first time I actually saw him at church or at school was when he walked up to introduce you for chapel, and I was like, "Oh, there's that kid that shadowed me. His pants are really big."
Did you say his pants are really?
pants are
Like,
big?
his pants are really baggy. I think you were wearing like a different pair of pants. Like they were really big. You
Wow.
remember this now, though.
How do you remember that?
Yeah, you remember that.
That's really weird. No, I don't know. I said that.
very weird.
Wow, man.
Miss
This is
Gilm's Bible class that's listening right now, do not think that I'm weird.
too late.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that helped.
Oh man.
At least the camera's not on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
True.
This is
So, let's talk about just like your personal growth. your personal faith, right? You guys have shared advice you would give yourselves, but what, I guess this kind of goes along with it, but what are some things that you guys have done in order to just be sure that you are growing in your faith, right? Like, let's say that you were sitting down with your younger siblings, and you just said, hey, look, like, I'm about to go off to college, and this is something that I wish I would have known when it comes to my faith, growing in my faith. This is what you need to do. This is what I've learned that you need to do. Does something come to mind?
I think that sometimes when you're hearing a lesson, or someone another high school is saying something about the gospel, or they're saying something that may sound a little iffy, to always go and check back with the Bible, because sometimes there might have been only heard, they might have never even read a gospel message from the Bible. They might have be pronouncing or kind of skewing out the only kind of gospel message, or the only thing they've heard about God from their parents or from their church, and they've never really had their own kind of faith. And I feel like that for me, that's kind of what I kind of struggled with in my first, kind of in my whole kind of teen years, right? I mean, I've grown up in the church. I've listened to almost probably 1 million gospel presentations. I've been in the church every door is open. I've memorized all the Awana verses. I've sang all the songs. I've done the catechisms. I've done all of it. But I feel like not really recently I've made it kind of an own and a personal kind of thing of kind of realizing that a lot of it falls on not like the works part, but the sin part, and what it actually does to God, and how big a deal it is, and how it's not a small matter by any chance of of the actions that I did that caused this, and that I'm responsible for this, that it doesn't fall on anyone else, and it's my responsibility. And I think that's kind of a big thing. And kind of with my younger siblings, for something to tell them, I would say to not care as much as what other kids think. Usually what they're saying is not really productive at all. It's really just to tear down. I mean, kids like to be funny. They like to be liked. And most of the things they're saying, I don't really think that sometimes when us as high schoolers and we're making jokes at each other, we really mean half the things we say. We just want to make each other laugh and be liked. And I would say to just kind of, it's going to be hard to stay away from that, because most friend groups I think have that. But not take everything personally, right? Not everyone's really out to get you, but not to care as much as what people think. And I think if you do that and stick to God's word and be in a good church with your family and have good relationships with your family members, right? I think as having a good dad has been really helpful, and a good mom to always be asking them for advice about different things, and a good pastor. I think that's a huge thing. And don't stay too far away from the church, because that's definitely where I feel like I've learned the most about myself and really everything on my experience at Calvary.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Someone clip that.
YouTube Shorts, let's go.
Yeah, I agree with that. So this is kind of along the same lines as what you were saying, like at least the first part of what you're saying. But make your faith like your own faith. Make your faith a personal faith, which means reading your Bible, praying, and that's not like right before meals. It's not right before bed, but it's praying to God when you need help, when like just to praise Him, and then also just surrounding yourself with godly people around you that can just build you up in your faith, and that you can have serious conversations with about your faith, about what you're struggling with. And that's something that I've really enjoyed, because my sophomore year, a kid named Caden McInerney started started a prayer group basically on Wednesday during lunches, and we used to go up there. We used to eat during the first lunch that we have, and then we would go up there and pray for about 20 minutes, and we would just ask each other, what's going on in your life? How can I pray for you? And I feel like that was really, really meaningful in my life, and just like growing in my relationship with the people in there, and then also growing in my relationship with God.
Yeah, that's really good. So I think both of you guys kind of hit on church, right? Whenever you're talking about being surrounded by the right people. Mm-hmm. Not all the time, but most of the time, those people are going to be found in a church. And you guys have been really committed to church, and not just coming on Sundays, but you guys have been really committed to coming to youth group, you know? Now, Now, I would like to assume or think that that's not because you feel obligated to be there, but you actually enjoy being there with me and Royce and the other leaders and your friends, right?
Definitely.
No comment.
No comment. But you know what? Just humor me, okay? So, why has that been important for you guys? You guys both drive, right? You guys are 18. Both of you guys are. You're not 18. 7 Jackson.
He's a minor.
He's a minor. But my point is, like, if you guys really wanted to, you could kind of do what you wanted to do. So why have you guys been coming? Why have you guys been invested?
I think for one, it's just a place to reconnect with God, because like even in a Christian school, there's definitely people who aren't Christians who don't know God. So I really enjoy going to youth group and just learning more about God, just spending time with the people in there that I know are true Christians who I can be open with, who I can have meaningful conversations with. So I definitely think youth group has been a big part of my life, and just, I guess, one, growing me in my relationship with God, of course. I forgot what the question was. Sorry.
How church has affected us?
Yeah.
Okay. And then also it's allowed me to, one, get closer to Jacob, and two, me and Noah met in youth group. I feel like that's where we're really connected. And I feel like it's just, that's also helped mold who I am close with and who I'm like friends with as well.
I think also, I think me and Jackson can both relate to this. We're both the oldest in our family. We both really haven't, I feel like, grown up with a real, I think both of our dads have done an amazing job, and they're both very godly men and role modeling for us what that means to be. But I feel like with older college guys, I feel like going to Calvary has helped me so much, because we see every day guys like Tanner, Tripp, Jacob, Royce, so many guys that have been where we are and have been able to walk it purely and been able to show us what the certain things on the path in college or after college in our young adult life that we're going to be struggling with, and things that we're going to have to fight against, and things that are really relatable, not only as high schoolers, but also in the life to come.
Yeah.
Because the stuff that we're dealing with right now probably will not stop. And those temptations and all those different things are not going to stop unless we kind of put an end to them now.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. It's something that Royce and I have talked a lot about on the podcast is the importance of church, and unfortunately, I guess because the American Christianity, type of society that we have, a lot of people could kind of look at something like youth group and be like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I definitely understand that mentality, because youth group, I remember watching a Wretched video about like just how weird youth groups can be, the weird games they'll play.
Yeah.
And if you see your kids,
shout out Young Life.
Yeah, if you see your kids playing weird games like that, you're probably going to be like, okay, my kids are probably better off being at home being pagans than doing odd stuff like that. But yeah, there's just something so beneficial about, I'm making it sound like this is a hot take, but fellowshipping with other believers isn't just something we're told to do. It's something we benefit from.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's nothing like having just genuine fellowship with another believer. Like, if you have that legitimately recharges you. That changed. Like, there were times when my first year teaching, it was 2 years ago, I think y'all would have been sophomores, and like that was the year I taught like Jared's group as freshmen. And dude, there were days where I was just like, man, I could quit this tomorrow. And like Jake would just come up and just chill in my room, and we just talk about stuff, and just having that kind of fellowship between two believers, it would turn everything around. So yes, we're supposed to have that kind of spiritual benefit, but yes, feelings can like flow from that. Yeah. Like, it's not all about just not having, feelings about things, because we say, feelings aren't your salvation, feelings aren't your assurance, but you will have feelings whenever, you have that kind of fellowship, and that's just a huge blessing. And to skip out on that because you're tired from practice or you just don't want to be bothered with it is just, you're really just shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've never spoken with an adult Christian, right, who was not involved in youth group as a kid, who said, "I'm glad that I wasn't involved." You know, I mean, I think of Tripp. He wouldn't mind me saying this. He tells me all the time, you know, how much he loves being involved and being a small group leader, and how much he wishes that he would have taken advantage of going and attending, right, when he was a student. So it's important because, like we talked about, this is where you're going to find long-lasting friendships, you know. And I know you don't always find them there, but this is where it happens, you know, especially as believers. It's what better place to find good, godly friends, you know, other than in your church's youth group, you know. So, yeah, I appreciate both of you guys and how, you know, just solid you guys have been in attending and serving and leading. And I think that everybody listening can hear that you guys are leaders and you've been leading well. So any last words, guys? Is there any parting words of wisdom, anything that you want to say before we sign off here? And I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, you are.
Just trying to think over here.
Try to think without speaking into the mic.
Okay, chill out, bro.
I would just like to hit on what you said. Just the importance of being around people that are Christians, whether that be in youth group, in school, in I guess the adult world even, and just knowing that, like when you're around, I feel like when you're around people who don't have the same interests as you, like not when it comes to school sports, anything like that, but spiritual interest, when you're around unbelievers a lot, I feel like you start to fall into the same things that they fall into. So surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded Christians as you really does help you in your walk, as well as it helps them in your walk, because you're going through this race together, basically.
Yeah.
I agree with that a lot.
Ditto.
I was thinking of something. I couldn't find it.
Well, I thought of one more question that I wanted to circle back to. So we're gonna go a little bit longer.
Yeah, I was gonna say if we cut it out like too soon, Coach Griffin's gonna complain.
Oh yeah, he likes those hour and a half
dude, he's
long.
down for those. Dude, if we could go 2 hours, he'd listen to 2 hours because he's the real one. All right,
He is. I think he listens to every episode.
every episode watches
Shout
it.
out. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, he's legit. He'll like if we take too long of a break, he's like, second of all, where's the podcast?
Yeah.
If you guys
Same with
broken up,
Oliver.
is this like not a thing anymore?
Oliver actually, the last 2 times we uploaded, he's
Yeah.
texted me and been like, "Finally!" Like it's like he's waiting for us to upload.
Have we
So,
mentioned what he said to us that one day during picture day?
I don't know.
Football that
Oliver?
that one day in the hallway.
What did he say?
Do you remember when you were getting on to him about not being at youth group, and he's like, you were like, hey, like you gonna do like what did you say to him?
I think he mentioned something about like didn't see you today or you missed Bible study.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, you come to youth group, you haven't been in over a month, and then he said.
So hold on, we gotta set it up right because he said you said something like, or do you even like go here or something like that? Like, do you even go here? I haven't seen you.
Oh, is that what I did? Did I like
and
pretend?
then he immediately turns around and says, "You haven't uploaded in a while. Do you guys even have a podcast?" And I was like, "Dang."
Oh man,
That's funny.
and I was like, actually, we're uploading one tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I was like, Royce, we have
Hurry,
to
hurry, get the headphones.
Oh,
Joke's
man.
on you.
Yeah, man, I forgot about that.
That's
Oliver.
funny.
Man.
Okay. Sorry. What did
So,
you want to circle back to?
Circling back to, we've talked a lot about the importance of having godly friends, going to youth group and all, but we also recognize that you can kind of fall into like a little silo there, right? And what I mean by that is you can get so comfortable, right? Like we talk about comfort zones in doing that you kind of forget that a big part of what we're supposed to do as believers is to be sharing the gospel, right? And I know that we talked about that for a little bit, but I just kind of want to talk to you guys about what has that been like for you guys as high school students, you know, especially at a Christian school when it comes to actually sharing the gospel. I don't know if you guys have any advice or wisdom or things that you've learned when it comes to having gospel conversations with people at school or in your neighborhoods or at work or on your teams or anything like that. So if you guys have anything on that, that'd be cool.
I think when it comes to that, you hear, I think, all the time, kind of in our culture, that live like Christ, which is 100% true. Live like Christ, because then they'll ask what's this slide? I want to be like it. But kind of the truth is, no one has ever been saved by actions or from someone being nice to them. It's always from someone sharing the gospel, and I feel like that's something it's really critical. There's a lot of really nice people out at Calvary and really kind people, but that doesn't ultimately mean that they're Christian. That doesn't ultimately mean that someone's going to walk up to them and ask them why they're saved. Inviting kids into Bible study, getting them in FCA, inviting them to church on Wednesday night, even though the only reason they might be coming is to get free food, is so important, because a lot of these kids have never heard the gospel. So they don't even really. I think I had a conversation with a kid yesterday, and he didn't even know that the Bible had books in it. Right? He just thought it was a straight. Yeah. He never opened up the Bible, and I think that is so huge to getting them in. Or maybe sometimes they're asking you questions that you don't really know and you don't really have an answer for, and they're talking to you. Get them to your Bible teacher, right? Mr. William would love to handle that, right? I don't really know who the other Bible teacher is now, but get him to, get Bobby Floyd,
Mr. Floyd.
Grant,
yeah. Get him to Jacob, get him to Royce, get him to people who would love to have conversations like that, and get him into church.
Yeah, you definitely touched on the that classic say the gospel, but if necessary,
Preach
use
the
words.
Yeah. Preach
Golly,
the gospel always.
dude.
Mm-hmm.
But if necessary, use words. Something like that.
Like,
and I remember being a kid hearing that and being like, that's
Whoa,
fire.
That's
Oh
profound,
my gosh.
dude. Oh my gosh.
I'm going to share the gospel with my actions.
Yeah.
Which
I held the door for that old lady, and now she's saved.
She's going to heaven.
She's going to heaven.
Man. Yeah. Which there's something to be said about lifestyle evangelism, right? Like
Absolutely.
living your life. But yeah, no, you're right. Like you have to use your words.
But it does not say that, being a super nice person is the power of God into salvation.
Mm-hmm.
What does it say?
It says speaking the gospel is the power of salvation according to God. So, there has to be, like, the message has to be shared, because the message is very specific, and you can't do general actions and expect they're going to arrive at a specific destination. So, Jackson.
So I think I originally heard this from Noah, but it's like this 10 seconds of courage. So you count to 10, and then it kind of like makes you want to go do it. So I think just you got to convince yourself, because it's not ever going to be easy. You got to convince yourself that you need to go do this. And then also pray and ask God to give you opportunities to share the gospel as well. And then just look out for those opportunities, whether it be someone coming to you or someone that God puts on your heart to go to them. So yeah, it's kind of Noah hit on the other thing that I was about to say.
Yeah.
But
I hate when
yeah.
that happens.
Yeah. Sucks. That's good, guys. I'm thinking really practical now, right? We, again, talk about all the time how important it is to be reading the Bible. Read the Bible. You guys, why don't you just share, because I know that both of you guys are in the Word. I know that, okay? Share with us what is your what's your habit, right? Is it in the morning? Is it at lunchtime? What do you guys do?
So that is kind of one of the things that I'm in the book. This is one of the interesting things. I'm in the book of Mark and Matthew, and we're doing actually like a study on the kind of the life of Jesus. And this is something that I've kind of, this being in the Word is something that I've kind of struggled with my whole Christian walk, because sometimes I'd rather, quite to be honest, to just listen to someone else kind of break down the Word for me, for someone else to, like a John MacArthur or a Piper, or someone else to kind of,
or Michael Todd, obviously,
or Beth Moore or somebody to kind of break down the Word for me and to kind of spoon feed me. And sometimes that can be so dangerous, because Jacob told me this one day about one of his friends who were just so obsessed with John MacArthur, and he would just listen to John MacArthur all the time. And eventually what happens is you're turning into that person, you're having that same mindset as that person on every single thing. And even though they're probably right about a lot of stuff, it's really unhealthy for not having your own thoughts on the Bible. So I try to do it at night after I do schoolwork, right? And that's kind of the thing, like to do that before I take a shower, right? So I have that set in place so I don't go before that. So.
Yeah. Awesome.
So I used to do my quiet time at night, but the problem with that is that once sports practices start getting going, and once I start getting super tired at night, like I know we've talked about this plenty of times, but you just feel like, oh, I don't really want to do this right now. I don't feel like I want to do this right now. And then if you do it, you're just not focused and you just want to go to sleep. So what I've started doing, and this has been about 4 or 5 months now, I think, is I've been either doing my quiet time first thing when I wake up, and then trying to get to school early, and then also, or trying to get to school early and then do my quiet time in my car before I go to school. And I just feel like that's been good, and because I'm always terrible at waking up in the morning. So when I wake up late, I just do it at the house. But when I get up early enough, when I'm, when I get up early enough, I get to school, which is what I've been trying to do. Get to school, do my quiet time, read a couple chapters, and then pray, and then go to school, which I think has helped my mindset. And I agree with, I think you've said it plenty of times, but just starting your day with God. And I feel like that's just really important because that kind of sets the tone for your day.
Yeah.
So that's kind of been my habit now. And then, of course, I still pray before I go to bed. I still spend a good bit of time praying. But I've started doing my reading time in the morning, which I think has been good for me.
Royce, what do you
So
do?
good.
Huh?
What do you do
I usually do it before bed.
right before bed?
Yeah, I don't really have. Well, I usually I don't ever lay down and read.
Good.
So I'm always in like a position that's impossible to fall asleep in.
Yeah.
And that's what I usually do. So I've been moving through 1 Samuel with Caitlin, and that's been pretty sick.
Caitlin is his wife, by
Yes,
the way.
Caitlin's my wife, and the dog, Ellie.
Nice.
You love that dog.
Dogs
I
read the
try my
Bible
best
too?
to love that dog. No, the dog has not made a confession of Christ yet. We're
dogs go to
working on
heaven,
it.
Royce?
The dog, yes, they do.
Mr.
John
Will would not
MacArthur,
like you.
whatever. I'm gonna,
Did John MacArthur say the dogs go to heaven?
John MacArthur straight up told a little girl who came to do a Q&A. She said, it mentions that Jesus comes like on a white horse. So my question is, do animals go to heaven? And then John MacArthur goes, oh my gosh, you are just the cutest thing in the world. That's such a lovely question. No. I was like, dude.
That's not where I thought you were going.
I
with
would
that.
have lied. I don't know. All I'm gonna say is that I feel as though it'd be weird if that creation wasn't represented,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's weird that there would be something that's created, and then after, the book of Revelation comes to pass, it now no longer is there.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know if your dog is going to be in heaven, but surely there's going to be some kind of animal
dog.
presence in heaven,
Yeah.
Hopefully it's Buddy. If not, Christ is there. So I guess I'll be
You're
content.
comparing Christ to your dog.
He didn't even get the joke I just made.
he wasn't
I literally
listening.
didn't even compare.
He didn't even listen to you.
That's what I
He
heard.
was like, oh, I've got something funny to
Yeah,
say.
he's like, oh, I'm going to dunk on Coach King. And now he just looks dumb.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm enjoying 1 Samuel. That's a metal book.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
there's so many things I like forgot even happened. I'm just
Yeah.
like, wow, I've got to revisit this kind of stuff. Like
Yeah.
like the whole Saul literally conjuring Samuel from the dead.
Yeah.
That's wild.
That is pretty nuts.
Need to do some research on how that works. But yeah, definitely stay in the Word, even though
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard to apply how that
It is.
what the application.
Wait, so you're
of
telling me
system is.
that doesn't give me the green light to try and talk
Yeah.
to my
So
grandfather from beyond the grave?
I can't hold a seance and play with my Ouija board. So okay,
Oh, man.
sounds fake, but all right.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, guys. Not this past Wednesday, but the one before, where we were talking about Rehoboam and Jeroboam. When I was going over that lesson, I was like, what is this, right? And so, and I even in the preparation, I don't think I did a good enough job, because at one point, Royce, I think you just hit the panic button and you were like, I'm going to jump in and explain what's happening here.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm glad that you did, because I was like, oh, yeah. Okay.
But that's only because I had the benefit of, I went through that same message with my Sunday school class. So I had already prepared basically twice before this.
Yeah.
And I was in the same spot you were, where I was like, there's not enough context here, and they provide the context not really in your face, which if I were going to do that, like, none of that story makes sense if you aren't building it on the implication that the kingdom is supposed to be his.
Yeah.
If that's not explicitly understood, then you probably would fall into the same fear that Jeroboam fell into, where he's like, I've got to make sure I keep my kingdom, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was it's okay. I'm always there for the ollie, my guy. Don't worry.
Yeah, you did. That was good. I was like, yep. And I was trying to act like, yeah. Good. Anyways.
Whoa, that's good.
Man. Yeah. So what I've been doing, you didn't ask, but I'll share. What I've been doing.
I was going to, but then we got into that story.
So every year for probably the last 4 years, I've been like, I'm going to read the Bible through this year. And like, I have failed the last 3 years. I got to like, okay, as far as excuses go, I have a pretty good one last year.
Okay, fair.
So I was doing really, really good up until May 31st of 2022. And then my wife had a baby, right? And then, you don't sleep for 3 months in a row, and
The Lord is your strength.
yeah, so that was rough, and then it didn't finish it. The last time I actually did get all the way through, I think, was like junior year of college or something like that. So I started over this year. I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to get that done in the morning, but it doesn't always happen in the morning. So that's where I'm at. Crickets. There's even a cricket button. Somebody should hit the cricket button.
Try blue. Oof, no. There it is. Purple. It's pink. It's pink.
That
It's
was
pink.
chaos. The last one.
Yeah.
There it is.
We need to get some custom ones. We need to get that guy who says brick by brick and that thing we're gonna cover hopefully one day.
We also need to push that on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, by the way, guys, follow us on Instagram.
Yeah. Please share
Will you follow
share
me
our
back? I'll
content.
put this on my story.
Yeah, dude.
10 followers.
Yeah, we'll have
With
to
you.
get we'll have to
About
clip his the statement he had, and then we'll have to find a good
be
picture to go
tough.
with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has been a good episode. This has been solid.
The one good thing Noah said.
The one good thing he might
Let's
get.
clip it.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm all questioned out. I don't know if you have any more questions for these guys.
I don't think I do. I do want to brag on them like you did.
Yeah, go
like,
ahead.
dude, y'all are definitely built different than I was back then. Because, dude, the comparison between Royce in high school and y'all is night and day. I was not in the Word like this. I wasn't. I couldn't even think of ideas as profound as what you guys have been saying here. So I'm proud of y'all, and that's just one really beneficial thing about being a teacher, is being able to try to live vicariously through the students and just be like, please do not make the mistakes I did.
Yeah.
I want, you're the closest thing I can do to going back in time and getting myself to not make the mistakes I did. Right? You have all the time in the world. You have people you can go to ask questions. I had so many resources I could have used for questions and stuff I needed answers, and I never used any of them, right? And I'm kicking myself now for not taking advantage of that back then and having to basically just play pickup, throughout college, and especially now, almost entering my 30s, So,
Ooh.
yeah, it is this year, my guy. It is in July.
What?
Yep.
Wow.
3-0. Yeah.
Oh man.
An old man.
I thought you still had another year to go.
Nah, dude, this was the year.
This
This
is
was
it.
the year to go. Right. So, it's still fun. But I'm so glad we have youth like y'all.
Yeah.
Just being authentic.
Yep.
Because, you know, I don't want this to sound mean, but they're like a teenager that calls himself a Christian is a dime a dozen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to see kids living it and just actually displaying the faith they have in Christ, that is, it's a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah, the days that Royce was talking about where, you know, you're like, this day is terrible, and then I walk up to his classroom. Honestly, a lot of times what comes up is moments like this and students like you guys and youth group and stuff, and it makes it's rewarding. You know? It really is. And that doesn't have anything to do with us. That's you know, guys like you know, and you know, the several others that we know of that will get shout outs at one point in time.
Yeah.
And maybe come on the podcast. I don't know.
Jared Bergevin.
But yeah, guys, thanks for coming on. Hopefully you guys get all the credit you need for the interim week.
Yeah. Because it's now on record.
Yeah,
It
It is recorded.
It's done. No
one can say they were on a podcast.
We have proof that
Yeah.
this
Sir
happened.
Ramsey can't get us now.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, it's been great, guys.
Yeah. It's a
We're,
blast.
Thank y'all.
Got
So,
another
yeah.
episode coming.
We got another
soon.
episode in the books. Season 3 is going strong, and we will see you guys next time. Thank you, our special guest, and see you later.